Hey, it's me again for another ink illustration. For the entirety of October, I've been making dip pen illustrations of the Whipping Witch, and I thought that I would not make this time any different. So here is another Whipping Witch. Now, as usual, I start with a sketch with my red pencil, and since you can't see much, I'm going to tell you what you are supposed to be seeing. There's the Whipping Witch on the right of the illustration, sitting on the ground with a quill in her finger, when the book in front of her that she is writing, and on the left of the illustration is a fire. At first, I wanted to put a forest in the background, but I thought that I had already done that for the first illustration of the month, and I kinda don't like drawing forests, so I decided to leave just a sky, plain sky in the background, but I decided to add a twist to it. You'll see later. For now, we are on to the inking part. It's kinda hard to draw a detailed face this small, so everything kind of superposes so you can see the eyes properly, you can see the tears properly, and then I'm adding shadows afterwards, so it's a bit confusing and unclear, but like the global aesthetic is there, and that's what I'm after. Before I drew any of the illustrations I've made in October, I sketched them quickly on my iPad to have a vague idea of what I'm drawing and the overall composition. So I had already explored the pose of the witch beforehand, which really helped me to get it approximatively correct on this illustration without spending hours on the sketch. No, what I did wasn't the cleverest because I started inking the witch, which is on the right of the illustration, and then I'm moving on to the bonfire on the left, which means that my hand was constantly going over places where I had already put ink down. And, well, it didn't smudge at that point, it smudged later on, another part of the drawing. And I've been a bit sick lately. I don't know if you can hear it. And I don't even know if this had anything to do with it. But for some reason, my dip pen was kind of acting up. And there were several places, like on the left of the bonfire, where it just put down way too much ink. And, well, right there was a drop that fell on my desk. And that didn't happen for the entirety of the month. Like for all the 3 previous illustrations, I didn't have any problem of my pen dripping, that's better. And when I was drawing this, it happened several times. And I was sick and I was just trying to keep my nose from running too much. And so it wasn't very comfortable to draw in these conditions, but I kept going because I think that working with a dip pen is actually quite relaxing. I truly enjoy the process and the textures I can do. For this piece with the fire, I wanted some contrast on the witch, so the front is in the light and the back is in the shadows, but she's still wearing black, so that's always so hard to do. So basically the front of her outfit looks grey and the back is black, but that's fine. And then her skin is entirely white. And now I'm on to the sky. And if I wasn't going to fill all that space with trees, I needed to find something to do with it because I wasn't going to leave it blank. And I thought of a sky, and then I was like, I like the night sky with stars and all, and that made me think of Starry Night by Van Gogh. And I thought that it could make for some really interesting textures with the dip pen and just lines. And it would also provide with some contrast since there's a very strong light source in my illustration, so everything in the foreground is pretty light, and that way I can have a dark sky in the back. Also, there was another drop of ink that fell on my masking tape. So yeah, I just drew some spirals, added a bunch of lines, and some more lines. And it's actually quite difficult to draw a circle with the dip pen because it has a preferred way of drawing, so basically from left to right, and you can't really go from right to left. And in a circle, you need to go in every way if you want to do it in one single line. So that didn't happen. I had to pick up my pen all the time. But it worked. It's not perfect, but I didn't think it would be. And I kind of like the look it gives. Though there was a smudge there. Because I put my hands in wet ink. So I added a rock. And I thought the smudge will just be the shadow of the rock. But solution. And I added a bunch of grass. Some more contrast here and there. And I added some more lines to the sky to darken a few places. It's already darker than the grass, but I like adding kind of a shadow border in my illustrations. And so I basically added shadows to the top and sides of the sky to frame it. Oh, and the bottom of the sky too, which was a bit hard to do since there's grass, which is a very wild texture. But it was fun. I enjoyed myself, despite dropping ink all over the place. Now I'm cleaning my dip pen with a tissue to move on to the gold ink. I always need to give it a good shake before starting because the pigment kind of just falls to the bottom. And the worst part is it doesn't even stay that well mixed for a long time. So while I was using it, I had to shake it again to use it properly. But with the gold, I was finally able to tackle the fire because I wasn't really certain of how I could do it with just my black ink. So I just basically left it blank and just decided I would add some gold to it, and that would be it. Then I added some gold to the swirls in the sky, so they're basically stars. And then I added gold everywhere the light would hit. So the circle of rocks around the fire. Oh, I had to shake it again, as I said. And then I added gold to the witch herself. It's not quite visible on camera, but in real life this ink is so shimmery. It's gorgeous. And like with the paper doesn't move and the light doesn't move, so you can't really see it. But in the final results, it's a little more visible. I also added a little triple V, triple U in English, for my watermark, I guess. And then I added more gold. There can never be too much gold. Then I put everything away to remove the masking tape. It's not masking tape, it's painter's tape. Right? Ooh, also I had to have to tape down my protection for my desk because it curls otherwise, and it puts weird shadows everywhere. That's funny. And here is the final piece, which I called a quiet melody, where it's just the witch enjoying some quiet time and writing stories. Thank you for watching.